It begins on Christmas Eve, as we see Angela in her office talking to her colleague Jody. Jody tells Angela that Mr. Harper wants to see her in his office before she leaves for the day. Angela seems worried about what Mr. Harper might want. Then, Angela's coworker Jim enters the office. He's explaining something about what he did at the Christmas party, and he soon apologizes about it. After some time, Angela was walking in the hallway of empty offices inside the building she works in. Suddenly, she encountered Carl, a security guard who was trying to lock all the floors of the building. Both Angela and Carl are startled to see each other. Angela is seen taking an elevator down to the parking garage while talking on the phone with her sister, Lorraine. She promises Lorraine that she is leaving the office building and is heading to her house. As the elevator door opens, the camera pans to reveal the sign P2 on the wall. Angela makes her way to her car. As she's trying to start her car, she becomes increasingly frustrated because the engine won't turn on. She had promised Lorraine that she would arrive at her house in 25 minutes or less, but it seems as though she might be late. As Angela grows more and more agitated, we then see the CCTV camera footage of her car. Angela decides to go to the back of the car and retrieve a large brown teddy bear. She tries to open a door, but it's locked. She realizes that she now needs help and goes to the office of the security guard, Thomas. However, before she can even ask for help, she's shocked to find a dog tied up under his desk. Thomas then appears and stops the dog from barking. After informing her that the gate requires a key to exit, Angela requests that Thomas provide her with the keys. Thomas can't find the keys at first, but soon finds them. Despite her initial surprise, Angela tries to maintain her composure and asks Thomas if he can get her out of the parking garage. In a gesture of good faith, Thomas offers to help Angela with her car troubles. However, despite his efforts to fix the vehicle, Angela's frustration begins to mount as she remains trapped in the garage. Afterwards, Thomas offers her a Christmas dinner. Angela turns down Thomas's offer to spend Christmas with him. Angela calls for a taxi and waits in the lobby, but she finds herself locked in when the taxi arrives. Unable to find Carl, she rushes back to the garage to find Thomas. As she wanders in the dark, her phone becomes her only source of light. However, she trips and drops everything, including her phone. When she retrieves it, she discovers Thomas was right behind her. He knocks her out with a white cloth covered in chloroform. Angela regains consciousness while seated in front of a dinner table, donning a thin white dress, and discovers Thomas, dressed in a Santa Claus costume, standing before her. Initially, Thomas lies to Angela, attempting to deceive her into believing that she fell down. However, as Angela attempts to rise from her chair, she realizes that one of her legs is shackled to the chair, causing her to tumble to the ground. Thomas comes to her aid, lifting her back into the seat. Despite the terror because of her situation, Angela manages to maintain a facade of composure as she seeks answers from Thomas. Her frustration with his unhelpful responses is palpable, especially as she discovers that her personal belongings are missing. Meanwhile, Thomas behaves as if they are on a casual date, asking Angela about her hobbies in a nonchalant manner. Thomas refuses to let her go and even forces her to lie to her family about being sick. Then, Thomas plans to take her on a drive, but when he unlocks her chains, Angela stabs him with a fork. Though she is unable to escape, handcuffing her wrists together behind her back, they climb into his car and drive down to P4. Angela finds herself handcuffed inside of the car by Thomas and forced to go with him to P4, where they find a tied-up coworker, Jim. Jim made an unwanted physical advance towards Angela in an elevator while being intoxicated during the office Christmas party. Thomas came to know about this incident after watching the security footage and assumed that Angela wanted to take revenge against Jim. This is Thomas's present to Angela, a coworker who is tied and gagged up in a chair. He tells her that he saw Jim touching other women besides her and believes it's unjust that Jim was let off the hook just by apologizing. Angela tries to defend Jim and herself, but Thomas suspects that Angela may have had deeper feelings for Jim than just being colleagues, maybe even an affair to get a promotion. In the midst of the ordeal, Thomas experiences a series of conflicting thoughts about Angela's relationship with Jim. Unable to decide whether to trust her or believe his own unfounded assumptions, despite initially resisting Thomas's demands that she participate in the violence against Jim, Angela ultimately agrees, either hoping to escape once she's untied or out of fear for her own safety. However, Thomas changes his mind and decides not to let Angela partake, as he doesn't want to tarnish her character. He then goes out of the car and approaches Jim. Without any warnings, he swipes Jim's head with the flashlight. After repeatedly hitting Jim with a flashlight, Thomas repeatedly crashes Jim with his car into a wall, ripping Jim's guts out of his body and killing him. Angela manages to get out of the car while the murder is being committed. As she runs away, she comes up with a plan to get help and retrieve her cell phone and some keys from the office. She finds a gate on P1 where she can get a phone signal. But as she tries to call for help, she drops the phone on the other side of the gate, and Thomas appears and approaches Angela's back. Angela manages to enter the elevator using the key cards, but the floor button is broken, and she ends up back on P1, with Thomas and his dog Rocky close behind. She hides in the elevator shaft using the emergency stop button to call for help. A man with a South Asian accent answers and tries to convince her that Thomas was just trying to help her. Angela realizes that the voice on the other end of the line is actually Thomas, who then forces her to leave by flooding the elevator with a fire hose from a higher floor. As the elevator floods, a shadowy object falls from the ceiling, later showing it's Carl's body, a colleague who had been missing and we presume to be dead. She tries to open the elevator. When the elevator finally reaches the next floor, it bursts open, spilling Angela and Carl into the hallway. Angela tries to bring him back to life, but he doesn't respond, so she realizes she must leave him to save herself. Thomas blames Carl for ruining Christmas and leaving his body in the flooded hallway. Angela uses her quick thinking and manages to slip away into the dark corner of the garage, hoping to stay hidden from Thomas. However, Thomas is not so easily deterred. He decides to taunt Angela by playing loud Elvis songs throughout the entire garage, causing her heart to race with fear and anxiety. But Angela doesn't give up. She knows she needs to stay calm and find a way out of this situation. With her adrenaline pumping, Angela realizes that Thomas is using the security cameras to keep track of her every move. She knows she needs to destroy them in order to make her escape. Without hesitation, she breaks open an emergency fire axe and begins to smash the cameras one by one, making her way towards Thomas's office. Once she reaches the office, Angela is met with a horrifying sight. She sees video footage playing of Thomas groping her while she was drugged, and the anger and fury inside her boil over. Without thinking, she picks up the emergency fire axe and smashes the TV, shattering it into a million pieces. But Thomas is not far behind. He appears suddenly, wielding a taser, and catches Angela off guard. She tries to fight back, but the taser overwhelms her and she falls to the ground, helpless, thinking what Thomas will do to her. While Angela is trapped in the trunk of her vehicle, the police arrive at the garage, unknowingly stepping into the lion's den. As they patrol the area, Thomas is hiding nearby with a fire axe, ready to strike at any moment. Despite their efforts, the police fail to notice anything suspicious, including the blood splatter left behind by Jim's murder. Meanwhile, Angela manages to free herself from the trunk and rushes to catch the police before they leave, hoping to finally escape Thomas's clutches. But fate has other plans in store. When Angela encounters Thomas and his vicious attack dog at the door, she knows she needs to fight back. She smashes the window of a nearby car and hides inside, hoping to evade the dog's deadly jaws. But the dog is relentless and attacks her inside the car, forcing her to fight back with a tire iron. With the dog dead and Angela covered in blood, she stumbles to a nearby rental car office and calls 911, hoping that help will arrive in time. Thomas tracks her down and tries to stop her from escaping, but she manages to spray him in the face, grabs a handful of rental car keys, and drives away in one of the cars. Later, we see Angela making her way to the exit when suddenly she gets sideswiped by another vehicle. It's Thomas, and he's not willing to let her go that easily. What follows is a wild game of chicken between the two drivers, with Angela ultimately emerging as the victor. However, things take a turn for the worse, where she flips her car and is knocked unconscious. Thomas, thinking he has the upper hand, approaches the car to retrieve Angela, only to be met with a shocking surprise. Angela had faked her injury and proceeded to stab him in the eye with an envelope opener. As he writhers in pain, she chokes him with her handcuff chains before freeing herself from the cuffs and handcuffing him to the wrecked car. Just when it seems like she's about to make a clean getaway, Thomas insults her, and things take a darker turn. Angela notices a stream of gasoline leaking from the car and decides to light it, engulfing Thomas in flames. He pleads with her, begging to be friends, but she has no mercy left. Angela watches as Thomas burns and screams in agony for a full minute before finally turning her back on him and leaving. Despite her victory, she's not out of the woods yet. Her leg is injured from a dog bite earlier, and she limps her way out of the garage and onto the snowy streets of New York City. In the distance, she spots the lights of several ambulances and heads towards them, leaving a trail of destruction in her wake. This scene is a testament to Angela's strength and resilience, proving that she's not one to be underestimated. Despite facing insurmountable odds, she emerges victorious, but not without a price. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to watch the next one, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bye!